Okay, so, I just realized this is technically, publicly findable now. This is an old mod vault that is currently, at the time of recording, semi-publicly accessible, which it normally wasn't. At least, I think. There's a chance that if somebody got in here, you would have been teleported out. But, like, you see the bedrock. Those lanterns must be new. But the bedrock's here. This was not the old mod vault, but the old... Or not the old mod vault, but the old mod vault. The second one. It was still decommissioned by the time I joined the server and by the time I became staff. So this is like 2011, 2012, I don't remember how long. But I accidentally got here, and I don't know why my game is chugging like a motherfucker. Oh, it's because I'm out of memory. Okay, so here we go. And hopefully with less frame hinges now. This is the old mod vault. Not the one that was in service when I joined, but still a very old one. And I guess they had teleport pads to all the admins' little homes. I don't know if they still work. Wings Toby, Pink Toby. Grinder available to the staff. Okay, so no, these don't work anymore. Which, you know, makes sense considering how absolutely old this is. What I really wanted to show you guys is, besides, you know, Krennis' little domain, this. This is back on MCO. So, I'm curious about this. I don't know how many of you ever saw this in the past. Because it used to be, you know, we had the little end island and it was hitting way off over here. But considering it's now in the public conscious again, and now that it's, you know, effectively decommissioned into oblivion and back, this was actually the mod vault when I first became a mod. And it is honestly a very impressive build, and there's been talks about bringing it back as just like, you know, like a mod hub or something, like a mod lounge, kind of like the donor lounge, the new donor lounge, donor islands if that ever gets finished. And right now, this, well, here it is. In theory, anybody can fly here, and unless they've, you know, copied over the nope zones, I believe anybody can fly in there. And I don't know if I'm going to ever be able to release this video, but I want to show you guys, because this is not something I ever would have done before, but there's a chance that this is actually, you know, public knowledge, and it's in the public conscious now more than ever. So I accidentally took a warp pad out of it, and it teleported me inside. Helpful. So future link to something else important. Banhammer Island. It was a work in progress. And so this was the mod vault. Whenever somebody broke something back in the day, we would have to keep a mental note of whatever was busted, and then come here and grab what we needed. This they kept this was all the blocks back in the day, and you know, like, they had planned for potential update blocks at the time. A lot of this does appear to be missing. I imagine some of these were in item frames or something, but there were chests full here of every block, and we would literally come here, grab what we needed, and take it back and repair it. Being a mod back in the day was a lot more manual, a lot more involved. It was a huge task, and we take for granted a lot of the automation we have these days. I'm not going to talk in specifics, but more or less, we hit a button and the grief is fixed now. Back in the day, we had to literally manually come here and replace everything. And that was as far as 2021 before we updated to 1.12. So in 2021, we were still coming here, grabbing what we needed, and going back. It was insane. So I don't know if they're gonna what they're gonna do with this place just yet. If I come up here, looking for a rule book, yep, they got rid of. There used to be a chest full of Riot's slow Riot's rule books. This they got rid of, but this used to go to Spawn, I believe it was, or yeah, no, because no, at the time, unless you were Aether, you know, you couldn't get out of the end, and this was back before vote tokens, I believe, and back when donating was how you got higher ranks. Now, not a lot of people had those higher ranks. In fact, I remember when I got Aether, it was insane. It was essentially a money sink, for better or worse. That's a, you know, a whole debate that's long and dead and kind of irrelevant now. But most people, and you didn't get it right out of the gate as a mod. You would literally warp Modvault, which would take you here, and then most people had to take the exit to get out of the Modvaults, because you couldn't automatically use commands to get out just because you were mod or something. So the end, as treacherous as it was, I mean, that's probably why this was in the end in the first place, the new one. Because it was hidden way out on the side. Sure, it was on the live map, but most people wouldn't see it. It blended in super well. And nobody was going to zoom out the end map that much anyway, because you know nothing was out there at the time. But yeah, you literally come here. People are like, oh, the end is such a dangerous place. I mean, technically, I'd been going to the end on a regular basis. Like, for a long time. The only reason I didn't... I never saw the main end, but I came here on a regular basis, and it was insane. Like, it's quite humorous to look back on. And honestly, as somebody who's so, you know, used to the new mod tools now, it's kind of insane to wrap my head around that this was how we did things back in the day. Is we would come here, manually grab whatever we needed, and go back. I remember when, the reason these torches are here. We had a dedicated torch box somewhere, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot where. But we had a dedicated torch block somewhere, and the reason we had like this double chest here was because of Studio Moon, the Russian invasion at the time. Studio Moon and all his people that were mass breaking torches, mods worked hours manually replacing those torches, because that's how we did it at the time. And I mean, granted, if somebody mass torch creep now, mods don't really have any tools to get rid of that, but this was also in an era when inactive admins were the, you know, the commodity, or not the commodity, the norm. Like, we had one active admin in the community in game, and that was Anna. Occasionally we'd get people like Stick, or, you know, like I don't remember their names, but we'd get periods of activity for other admins, but the only consistently active admin in the community was Anna. And it's impressive to see how she still, like, is kind of at the forefront of a lot of things these days. Like, events. I admire how much time and effort she's willing to put into MCO. Like, people might think I've put a lot of time in this server. Anna is like... holy shit, the amount of effort and time she's put into this server. A lot of the, like, the dungeons and stuff, a lot of the back-end coding for that, a lot of event, like, she's not, like, solely responsible for everything, but she's worked on so much over the years that it's impressive and maybe a little bit terrifying, but that's coming from somebody who probably spends equally as much time in communities and stuff. I just also happen to do it across several communities. Like, the reason I'm sometimes not, like, you know, always super present on MCO is usually because I'm doing something else, because I'm in some other community. I've kind of stepped back from a lot right now. Like, I ran another YouTube channel, a much bigger one, that I've kind of been on a hiatus from just because I needed the break and I needed to slow down in my life. I want to go back to it, but I'm not forcing myself to. I'm just waiting till it feels like it's ready. That's kind of what I was doing on MCO too. But the truth is that that's my health and my capabilities, and that's a whole other topic. I'm getting way off topic, but so yeah, we would lift up here, and I'm not going to talk about anything that's not here. I will say one half of this always was empty. Like, I imagine the idea was they would expand there when we updated, but of course, you know, we had the entire rewrite of how staffing works among like a lot of other systems on the server. Like, I'll be honest, I'm not going to pretend that like the reason this update took so long was because of how big it was, because truth be told, from what I understand, most staff probably were never like there was a long period of just not working. I don't know what happened with the update. I don't know. I don't think people are going to talk about it for a very long time, if ever. I don't particularly care because the server's in a much better spot now, and the update came. You know, we're getting updates. We're getting it. That's like I don't feel like we need to have that conversation anymore. But back in the day, this was interesting. And this is why becoming a mod was such a trusted, you know, such a trusted thing and so closely guarded, because when you became mod, you basically had access to all the server materials, like all in-game blocks, just here. And, you know, they had to trust you enough to not just come and try to sneak some of it and go back home. Which I don't remember ever finding anybody who did, but I understand why it was such a big deal back then. And mods, it is so much harder for mods to abuse their power now. Not that many do, but it is a lot harder for mods to abuse the kind of power they're given these days, compared to, you know, like literally having the entire creative inventory in front of you and say don't take anything. Now, most people, you know, obviously most people were good. They weren't going to do that. That was never a problem. But it's funny to look back on, I guess is my point. And it also reminds me of just how limited the block palette was in 1.7. Something I've actually noticed is that over the years, the hourly gift has become a lot more diluted. Like, I don't know. I don't know the back end, so I don't know if like percentages were fucked around with at all. I don't know if it's purely random, if certain items are weighted. I think it's purely random. But something that was very common back in the day, like some of the things that were really commonly given out in the hourly gifts back in the day, that's no longer the case. Like these three and this head. I have like 3 or 4 of these each sitting on my vault right now. Because like just placed around because they were so common back then. I didn't know what the fuck to do with them. Like they were so common and they're so rare now. I don't even know if they're in the hourlies anymore. I think they are, but they're so rare. Ah yes. And the illegal sponge. One of the only sponges that I knew of on the server. I know there were more, but this was the one that, you know, all the mods knew about because it was right here. And it was funny just to see Sponge, because Sponge back then, man, Sponge was like, it's like, it wasn't quite like Bedrock, like, you know, you're never gonna get it, but there were a few of them, and they were quite funny for being, you know, they're just not on the server. It's kind of somewhere between something like Bedrock and Totems in the modern server, where it's like, you know, they're gonna become highly available in the future, but they're also like insane to have. So it's kind of amusing. Armor stand. I feel like there's missing a lot of blocks reserved for red sand blocks. Again, preparing for that 1.8 update that never came. Diorite andesite grant. Yep, right there. I don't remember what was here. I feel like it was like I might be wrong. Maybe this was empty. This feels too light. I don't remember. But yeah, no. Sign. Yeah, there was just a bunch of signs there. I remember during the invasion, something that would happen was we would come here and when we ran out of torches and, you know, the admins couldn't get on to replace them, we literally were told to resort to taking coal blocks and wood and crafting torches to repair the grief. It was nuts. And it's quite funny. Uh-oh. Okay, I fell into that again. Okay. It is insane. Anyway, guys, that's gonna be it for this. It's just, like a little rant, dive into history. Really interesting for me, because this is shit like this was like years. It's fun to reflect back on MCO for me, and I mean that's just kind of me as a person. I like reflecting back on stuff, and just seeing that come back, it's really interesting, and I'm hoping they turn it into some kind of lounge or something, because it just for the old staff, it's a nice thing to look at and just remember. Like, there was a time where I was going there multiple times a day, and it was one of those lovely things, like in the old end, where all of a sudden it's you just can't go there anymore, and I don't know. It's weird because you take a lot of MCO's history, its main map, the overworld, and how it's never reset and never will. And you get used to, being able to go and see old shit. Like, I literally need to do a tour where I just go through all my builds from over the years. Like, that is something I need to do. I just need to go through all my builds from over the years and just compare. And, like, I literally go to my wiki page and just go one by one, because honestly, there's so many at this point that's kind of insane. And I know Project Moon's, kind of the big one. And the thing about Project Moon is I was constantly in and out of the old areas. Like, 2017, Vault Room was built in 2017. That shit is old. But I went there pretty frequently. And I still do. Project Moon is kind of, in hibernation. I don't think it was ever going to become like an active central hub. It might in the future with, like, the Nether Highway system being rebooted, and I'm definitely going to try and start breathing some more life into it down the line. I think I'm just still kind of on the, oh my god, it's finished, let's just relax and work on other shit phase. But honestly, it's a lot of fun. One thing I've had to kind of go through, not just in MCO, but my life as a whole, is this whole... For those who are unaware, my health is kind of in, like, the worst it's ever been because of long COVID. If you're not familiar, it's essentially where just people like about 20% of people who get COVID, they have some form of long-term effect that comes out of that. And that's just kind of been umbrellaed under this term of long COVID. In my case specifically, I have, like, worsening brain fog. I'm not going to talk about too much. It's just, imagine not sleeping for several days, and that's your, like, that feeling, of that, like, sense of, like, just distance, that's your life all the time. And I also have chronic fatigue, and I'm not here to, to get, like, depressed or, like, whatever about it, but what I want to talk about is the real reality that because of that, I have not been able to, do as much as I used to be able to, both in, like, like, an adult sense, but in a creative fan sense, too. There's a reason over the years, like the last 2 years and the months, I've had to scale back a lot of what I do, whether it's YouTube, MCO, or just stuff in general. Like, there was a time where I could get one furry video out a month on top of 4 MCO videos. I just don't think that's possible. I mean, it might be, but I would be so fucking tired that I wouldn't have room for anything else in my life, and that would suck. Like, I'm in a relationship right now, like a really good one, and there's other games, like, outside of MCO and YouTube I want to play. There's events I want to go to, communities I'm involved with, and I've had to narrow down and slim down a lot of that into just, where I'm at now. So, there was a lot of MCO things I wanted to do. There was a whole, I know I teased it in one of my videos. There was a huge animated project themed around Project Moon, most ambitious one I've ever done, that I was going to do. Something on par with Project Superhero, which was this really old animation project from fucking so many years ago, like at least half a decade ago. But that was something that ultimately just got canned because there was just no way I was going to be able to do it. The amount of time I already sink into stuff is insane. And I think a lot of it, like how I was able to operate then, was I just had all that energy and I was hyper efficient. I can't operate like that anymore, at least not with where my health is. And that's why I've stepped back from a lot of things. That's why I went on that big ass break from MCO, is because I was so overwhelmed. I'm like, I just need to stop and recuperate my energy because I was just so exhausted. A lot of the projects I had lined up on MCO, I was burning through them because I was feeling like I was trying to, like get through a chore list. Like I had to get this place done, so I get this place done so I could work on what I wanted to. And that's why I just stopped and I backed away. I finished what I was working on, which was the Western Waters at the time, and then I left. And now I'm back. I'm kicking ass on Purgatory, which I still need to show off, depending on if I have not shown it off before what I'm recording now gets released, if it does get released. But I don't want to go into like everything a whole lot, but I don't want to just keep droning on about it. But I'm gonna, I'm back in MCO. I'm gonna try to be here as much as I can. I'm not making any serious promises. I will say long term, I don't ever I don't think I'm capable of leaving MCO in any long capacity. Not that I'd want to. No, don't bear in mind. I don't want to leave MCO. I don't want to quit MCO. I don't see myself quitting MCO anytime in the near future. These breaks are not intended. They're not because I'm losing interest. I'm wanting to leave the community because I'm drifting out. They're because I just need to take a break and usually want to focus on other things in my life because I'm in multiple communities. I'm in the furry fandom. I'm in both a public sense and a private sense. I'm in a lot of I have friend groups. I follow the Halo community a lot. I'm a huge Bethesda fan. I'm really cooking for Starfield, which is coming out in a month at the time of recording. There's a lot outside of MCO in even just my my free time sense. I don't know. See, that's kind of the whole balancing part right now is I have to go between, do I want to I want to go back to making furry history videos, which is what I do on my other channel. And I want to do that. But that is a huge process. That's why I usually released one a month. It's because those are, relatively speaking, pretty big projects to be releasing regularly. And, MCO is not my most high effort content by any means. That's not to say I don't try to put in some effort. I do, but I don't treat this. I'm not a perfectionist, and I don't treat MCO as my. I don't put in. How do I phrase this? MCO is, I do this for fun, and if I'm able to just record my rambling, just show some places, and I'm having a good time, that's all I need. My real skill and stuff that I try to display, a lot of that's in my 3D art and my furry videos, because those are really complicated. I'm not just doing it to have fun. I'm doing it to try and educate people, and it's a huge process. Anyway, guys, just a little dive through history lane, and also a kind of current state of where I'm at. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time, where soon we will be definitely getting back to the, actually exploring shit. Oh man, I want to just go and record an old school video, but it is very late at night. So anyway, guys, I will see you in the future, in the near future, and I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Kabish.